This is going to be a very fast video, but today I talked to somebody and we had a very long discussion about their chart. The individual knows lots of astrology, memorizes so many techniques, combinations, they know several rules, but they had zero clarity. And when they approached me, I could tell that they not only knew a lot of astrology, but were seeking a sort of not just a solution, but some clarity as to what the solution should be and why. And here's a very important thing that I want to tell people when it comes to astrology. Most pop astrologers will look at something and they start to go down the list, right? For example, oh, your Mars is in this sign. That means this. Your Jupiter, your Venus, your Saturn, they're in this house, they're in this sign, right? But you are kind of wasting your time if you start to just index and throw a bunch of techniques out there. Obviously, there's a time and place for everything, but sometimes knowing more is not better. Sometimes less is more, and sometimes more is less. So, what I did is before I looked at anything, I double checked what was going on in the day to kind of set context. And obviously, there's so many things that we could look at that helps us understand why they were overthinking, why they're facing delays. Like you could check their, their dashas and all that stuff. But before I did any of that, I noticed something in particular, and this has to do with something very simple. So their psychological profile has a lot to do with their lunar phase, which is in a state of waning. This means that they can introvert a lot, and also their Hora Lord is Mercury, so they think a lot. They think too much. And yes, we could look at so many different things, which we did, like we went over all of their divisional charts, etc. But at the end of the day, I really isolated two areas of their chart. And with those two simple areas of their chart, we were on the phone for about 2 hours. And the interesting thing is, they were wondering how I'm answering so many questions and trying to reverse engineer what I was doing. So they started going through all these different things. And I told them, look, I'm really looking at two, three things. Their devatas and their dharma, which, funnily enough, the person is, I wouldn't call them a pujari, but they do a lot of, like at home rituals and things like that. And I said, look, you have an issue with your Kula Devata. Western is people are going to have a very difficult time with this, and this is why I always recommend them to develop a spiritual practice before you really get too deep into astrology. It's a huge advantage that people in the East have. But he confirmed it. He said, "Wow, actually, yeah, the uh, murti that we worship, its eyes fell off." And I literally said, "Yeah, your sun and your moon need to be balanced. You need a breathing practice. You need to do pranayama and balance your sun and moon, right? Because your left and right nostril, they represent the sun and the moon." So all these things are happening, such as, relationship issues, a big breakup, job loss. But I was able to trace it back to one simple source of origin, and that's the Kula Devata. So for a lot of Westerners, because you guys don't have none of this, my main suggestion is 90 a majority of the time I really tell people, look, you need to develop a spiritual practice. Like you can't just go down a list and memorize, oh, if you have this planet here, it means this. If you want to check this, you're kind of not actually helping yourself learn. You're going to peak with this. Throwing things at the wall to see if they stick is sometimes that's just taking too long. You have to supplement your astrology with spirituality, philosophy, history, a lot of other things. But that's for long term. Again, here I noticed that because of this issue with his family or yeah, family deity, their ancestor deity, it's manifesting in a way because from the scientific perspective, your genes actually carry a lot of sequences and coding from your previous ancestors. This is the study of epigenetics. So there's always a spiritual lens to look at things with, but there's also a scientific lens to look at things with. And I am overly simplifying all of these things for the purpose of being practical and showing you the bigger picture. But yes, your ancestors absolutely matter. They define the world and how you see it. They have a very big say in that. So don't be stuck on only memorizing things and knowledge. You need application as well. So because they already have, a protocol, it was very easy to not only answer their questions, but they were just very impressed and said, "Wow, I'm getting a lot of clarity of mind. I can now understand that a lot of my delays are simply due to this or that," and it gave them a roadmap of what to expect, and that was that. So what I want you to do is to start to look at your chart, start to get familiar with some of it, but try and integrate that with something, right? Study your history, study your ancestors, study your country of origin, take a DNA test. All this is going to tie into everything, and the people that are more likely to do this tend to get better at astrology. And there is a reasoning for this. Again, we could take the spiritual or the scientific route, but that's for a discussion for later.